I wake up to the smell of Mom's pancakes and splash water on my face. The bathroom mirror is fogged up like the night was breathing steam. Outside, the morning is crystal clear. The yard is flooded with warm light, and fat drops of dew sparkle on the lawn. In the kitchen, Mom is sliding pancakes onto a plate. "Lucas, don't forget. Tomorrow we're burying the time capsule," she reminds me. I remember. I nod. After school, we'll take a picture with the guys, get the film developed, and I'll give the print to Mr. Rose. The ceremony happens every 10 years. Tomorrow, Friday, all the 6th graders will toss their most important little treasures into a metal box. Baseball cards, notes, pins. The town band will play the anthem, and then the box will go under the square's paving stones until the next decade. They said there'd be no classes, a whole free day, basically a holiday. I wolf down 2 pancakes with cherry jam, grab my cap, and bolt outside. Our neighbor, Mr. Burton, is already digging around in his flower bed. "Morning, kiddo," he grins. "Big day tomorrow. What are you putting in the capsule?" "A photo of our baseball team. We're the district champs." Right, Mr. Burton nods, like he's remembering something pleasant. At the intersection, Mikey and Jen are waiting. Mikey's spinning the pedals of his BMX, and Jen is petting Chip, the mutt. "Here's the plan," Mikey says. "After school, stadium. We snap the pic, drop the roll at the lab, pick it up tonight, and tomorrow we hand it to Mr. Rose. We slap palms and head to school. Around the corner, the bakery already smells like cinnamon, and a neon sign in the window flashes, 'Fresh donut.' Everything's as familiar as a postcard. Classes fly by in the usual blur. Algebra, biology, history. At the assembly, the principal reminds us about tomorrow's capsule. Meet at 8 a.m. in front of City Hall. Classes line up by roster. Photos, letters, caps. Turn everything into me by the end of the day or tomorrow morning. Mikey and I trade a glance. We're good. At lunch, I scan the street for our bus through the window. A silver school bus rolls by, but with a number I don't recognize, and an empty interior. The doors open like the driver's waiting for someone, then shut. The bus pulls away. I've never seen one just check stops like that. Weird, but I shrug it off. After school, we meet at the stadium. The sun is sliding west, painting the grass a calm amber. Mikey sets up the tripod and fiddles with his old point and shoot. "On 3, smile," he orders. 1, 2, click, and that's it. Jen carefully pulls the film, seals it in an envelope for the lab. By 9 tonight, the photo will be ready. Perfect time for ice cream, we decide, and head to the park. On the main path, workers are putting up metal barriers. A stage is taking shape for tomorrow's ceremony. A banner reading "Time Capsule 2035" gleams with fresh paint. Mrs. Walsh, the mail carrier, walks by. "Come early tomorrow," she says, then adds softly, "Remembering matters too." "Remember what?" Jen asks. "Well, everything that was, dears." Mrs. Walsh smiles and walks off, like she said too much. That evening, Mom asks me to take some old boxes down to the basement. I go down and jump at my own reflection in a dusty window. For a second, it feels like a shadow flits behind me. I wipe the glass. Nothing. Nerves, probably. Tomorrow's a big day. As I crawl into bed, I think it's been a bright day. Even the odd little things, the empty bus, Mrs. Walsh's awkward pause, dissolve into the general sunny buzz. Tomorrow we'll bury a metal box with our photo in it, and in 10 years someone will open it, smile, and say, "Look how these kids had fun." I close my eyes, sure that's exactly how it'll go. So far there's no reason to doubt it. The first Tuesday after the ceremony starts almost as sunny, not a hint of yesterday's rain. The sky is so clear it's like someone wiped it down with a rag. I'm flying to school on my bike when I notice the paint on the barriers they put up for the capsule is already peeling, like they have been there not a day but a couple of years. At the entrance, Principal Rose greets us with his usual wave. Good morning, kids. Third period, we're meeting in the auditorium to talk about the time capsule. Strange. We were told the celebration was just Friday, and now there's another meeting? I shrug and head inside. First oddity. According to the schedule, we have music now, but the room is locked and there's no sound from inside. A note is taped above the handle. Class rescheduled. Mrs. Sparrow walks by with a stack of sheet music, nods at us, like everything's perfectly normal. I swear her dress was bright blue a couple of weeks ago, and today it's the gray of puddle water. Maybe it faded in the wash. We head to an empty classroom for study hall. Sunlight stripes the desks through the blinds. Everything seems the same, but one of the beams looks ashy. I run my hand through it. The patch of light stays cold and pale, not golden like the others. Mikey whispers, "Did you see the board shimmer?" I look, just regular green gloss. Mikey blinks. Must have imagined it. The photo thing. At recess, Jen pulls out yesterday's Willow Creek Times. On the back page there's a blurb about the time capsule, our very photo. I grin, but my eyes snag. There's Mikey, there's Jen, the rest of the gang, and where I was standing, there's only a strip of shadow on the grass and someone's scuffed sneaker. The editors must have cropped it, Mikey guesses. No big deal. You'll still be in the one we frame at home. Though I could have sworn I was standing right between them in the original. An hour in the auditorium. We sit in rows. Slides of yesterday's shots flicker on the screen. The projector clicks, changes frames, and each one looks a little washed out, like the autofocus missed. The principal talks about how important it is to remember the past. His mic squeals once. The sound comes out flatter, duller than usual. At the end, he shows a slide with our names, the 6th graders in the capsule project. I see Michael Jones, Jennifer Smith, Kevin Hill. My name isn't there. I raise my hand. Mr. Rose, you forgot me. He frowns, flips through papers. Lucas, Miller. Right, sweetheart, we'll fix the list. Back in my seat, there's a light emptiness tugging inside, but I tell myself, clerical error, no need to freak out. After classes we meet on the baseball field. A bit of overcast tucks the sun behind a smoky cloud. Mikey pitches. I swing. The ball sails, but Chip doesn't rush to chase it. The dog skirts around me like he doesn't see me. Hey, it's me, I laugh, reaching out to him. Chip bolts to Mikey, barks happily and ignores me again. He's used to my scent, Mikey says, apologetic. We practice another hour. When I go back for the ball, I notice there's no footprint where I walked on the fresh sand. Like my feet barely touch the ground. Fine, maybe the wind smoothed it out. But around us, Jen's sneaker prints are sharp and clear. That evening, Mom's frying fish. Weirdly, the smell is barely there, though it usually fills the whole house. How was school? She asks, stirring the pan. Fine. They just messed up the photo list. I'll call the principal, have him fix it, Mom promises, but she's staring off somewhere, like the glass in the kitchen door is pulling her gaze. At night I lie there staring at the ceiling. The tree shadows outside the window look thicker than before, and they move without any wind. I wave it off, just my brain playing games after a busy day. But somewhere deep down, a question itches. If everything is almost like always, why does every little detail look a shade paler? And why, in the school paper, was there just a sneaker where I should have been? I fall asleep deciding to ask Mrs. Sparrow tomorrow why our music class suddenly moved. There's got to be a simple explanation. There has to be at least one, right? We'd agreed to meet at Jen's on Saturday. Her mom promised a batch of lemon muffins and the fresh photos from the town lab. I headed out just after 10. The sky looked laundered, still blue, but like fabric rinsed too many times. The sun shone softer, without throwing blinding glare off car windshields. On the way, something caught my eye. The bakery window that blazed yesterday now looked veiled in haze. The fresh donut sign was lit, and not lit. The letters seemed smeared. I shook my head. Must be imagining things. Mikey was waiting at Jen's place. His BMX had dulled, the red paint scraped down to metal like it had been a year since our last ride. "Beat up your bike?" I ask. "No, just oiled the chain." Mikey shrugs, and we head up to the porch. In Jen's living room, an old record player crackles softly. Instrumental music, muted horns, but from far away. Tables are dressed in lazy pastel tablecloths, muffins waiting on a plate. "Lucas, grab a seat." Jen's mom smiles, setting out cups. She puts down 2 and suddenly stops. "Oh goodness, there are 3 of you." Yet a third cup never appears. She pats her forehead, walks to the cabinet, comes back, and still sets only 2. Like her brain hopped tracks mid-thought. I sit, but feel a strange lightness, as if the chair doesn't quite meet my knees. Mikey notices the hiccup and launches into talk about the upcoming baseball game, rescuing us from the awkward pause. A couple minutes later, Jen's mom brings an envelope of film. We pull out the prints. On the group shot by the time capsule, Mikey and Jen are shining. The whole team's there. Where I should be, there's a clean gap, regulation neat. Even the grass behind is warped, like the light knew I wasn't there. Bad development? Mikey tilts the picture under the lamp. The lab could have overexposed it, Mrs. Sweta suggests, but her eyes slide past me like the blurred patch in the photo has leaked into real life. Jen quickly gathers the photos. "We'll order a reprint tomorrow." We head to the backyard to toss a ball around. It always smelled like mint back there, but today the scent's filtered. Just a thin hint left. I throw Mikey a regular fastball. He catches, then looks around, confused. "Did you throw that?" "Of course," I say. The ball's lying in the grass, 3 yards away, like it dropped on its own. I'm sure I hit his glove dead on. Jen calls Chip. The dog bolts out, snatches the ball, drags it to Mikey. When I try to take it, Chip doesn't even sniff my hand, just skirts me. By the minute the air feels thinner, the purple flowers in the bed past the fence look rubbed down to gray smudges. I blink and the color creeps back a little, like a TV auto-adjusting brightness. After lunch, we sit at the kitchen table to finish the lemonade. Jen's mom suddenly asks, "Kids, who was the last to close the cellar door? The lock was sprung this morning." "We didn't touch it," Jen says. "Maybe Dad." I remember peeking into the basement for a soda before brunch, but I didn't take anything. I'm about to mention it, mouth open, then freeze. I don't remember if I actually went down. There's a blurry snapshot of the stairs in my head, and then nothing. Uneasy. Like the day's events are being erased with a soft eraser, starting from my footprints. By 4 we say our goodbyes. Mikey goes back for his bike, and stops dead. "Lucas, you hear that?" Out front, the usual ice cream truck is selling cones. It used to blast a bright caramel jingle. Now it's just a faint rattle, like the speakers stuffed with cotton. In the middle of the street sits that same blue bus I saw Tuesday. Doors open, nobody inside. The driver, a shadow under his cap, stares straight ahead, like he's waiting for a signal. Then the doors close, the bus pulls away slowly. "What kind of field trips run without passengers?" Jen whispers. We smile awkwardly and wave each other off. I head home. With every step, the street looks duller. Mailboxes grayer, grass paler, the bakery window throwing a chalky reflection. One thought keeps looping. The brighter yesterday is, the dimmer today gets. At home I open the fridge. The LED used to glow warm yellow, now it's a cold blue. The food smells weaker. Mom and Dad watch the news on mute. The screen's on, but the anchors' faces are nearly colorless. "How was brunch?" Mom asks. "Tasty," I answer, and realize I can't tell sweet from sour. It's like someone flattened all the flavors to one volume. The lavender scent on Mom's apron has vanished too. Before bed, I flip through my baseball cards. Team logos, almost gray copies. On the back, where the stats are, The numbers fade like chalk after a hard scrub. I lie down and for the first time, notice the rug has lost its pattern. Just blurry lines remain. I stare at the ceiling. It feels farther away. And one more thing. When I close my eyes, there aren't the usual bursts of color, only black and white. Tomorrow is Sunday. Baseball, practice, family, dinner. Maybe the colors will come back. Maybe I'm just getting sick. But right before I drift off, I whisper into the dark, just let everything be like it was tomorrow. Silence doesn't answer. On Wednesday evenings in Willow Creek, they always set up the summer fair. String lights over the empty lot behind the school, assemble the carousel, fry up cotton candy. I'd been waiting for this day since spring, but when Mikey and I got to the grounds, my first thought was, who turned down the saturation? The garlands were a dull yellow, like the bulbs had burned out. The sky itself was graying even though it was prime sunset time. The huge balloon that's usually ruby red was a dirty pink, like faded strawberries. On the entrance arch a flyer read, "Welcome, folks." The letters are washed out blue and slightly blurred. We buy tickets. The cardboard feels damp, the ink rubs off on our fingers in ashy gray smears. The cashier smiles, but her eyes seem to look right through us. Have fun, her voice drags, like it's coming through an empty can. We grab cotton candy. It used to be a lavender cloud. Now it's almost whitish. I bring a piece to my mouth. The sweetness is barely there, like someone turned the flavor brightness down halfway. Mikey squints. Taste it, like you're eating fog. We laugh, but it comes out forced. Nearby food stalls have no lines. The caramel smell is barely noticeable. The best part is always the funhouse, a giant trailer with a mirror labyrinth. Inside, the lamps hum with a flat gray light, and reflections smear, as if the glass is fogged. Mikey and I duck into the corridor. Jen stays outside with Chip. The dog won't go in, tail tucked. In the first side mirror I show up alone. Mikey's missing, just an empty space beside me. I laugh, waiting for him to jump out from around the corner, but his voice comes from about 15 feet away, and still no reflection. Quit it, I yell. I'm right here, he calls back, but his voice sounds muffled, like it's wrapped in cotton. We burst out at the exit at the same time. Mikey's pale. You kept disappearing in the mirrors. I didn't see you guys at all. That trailer was dark as night. We trade looks. The glass we thought was fogged might have just failed to catch either my image or Mikey's. Next, we line up for the old swing ride. The music plays softly, like someone yanked half the speakers. When I sit in the plastic seat, the chain metal is colder than ice. The ride starts. The chairs lift. Wind slaps my face. I see the town from above. The streetlights are dim, like bulbs at the end of their life. The fairgrounds are a blurred patch of gray shapes. And then within the circle, I spot that same empty blue bus, parked off to the side, doors flung open, nobody inside. It looks like it might be rocking a little. Mikey, look, the bus, I shout, but the music dies out and my voice snags in my throat. He doesn't hear me. The carousel slows. We're back on the ground. The bus is gone. In the dirt where it sat, only tire ruts and a thin stripe of scorch. The string lights go out one by one. The generator hum fades, and the fair seems to crouch with exhaustion. Vendors silently fold up their booths, even though it's still early. We decide to buy soda. The machine swallows the coin, and nothing. The indicator lights glow like gray embers. Inside there's a faint creak, like a coffin lid. Let's go, Jen whispers. We head for the exit. Mr. Burton walks by. No smell of soil, his eyes red, like he hasn't slept. He looks lost. Kids, the fair's closing. Take care of yourselves, okay? His voice is oddly tight. In his hand is a bundle with the sign that used to list the ride's schedule. Now the letters are rubbed away. At the intersection, we plop down on the curb. Chip growls, fur bristling. Mikey pulls out his phone. Let's take a pic, so we've got something bright at least. Click. The flash is almost nothing, and the screen shows a gray smear. He tries again, another washed-out silhouette, faces blurred into ghostly smudges. Jen sighs, looking up. Feels like our town's being slowly erased. On the way home, streetlights wink out one by one, leaving patches of matte darkness. In their fading halos, white flakes drift like ashes, though there are no bonfires anywhere. When I get home, the wall clock goes tick-tick and stops. The hands tremble and freeze at 11:11. The room seems to shrink, leaving me in the center of a faded photograph. Mom asks from the half-dark living room why I'm back so early. The fair usually runs till midnight. I tell her I don't know how to explain it. Like someone forgot to turn on all the lights. Before bed, I try to remember the sound of carnival music. All I get is a dull rustle that fades fast. Closing my eyes, I see a black and white frame, an empty blue bus under dimmed garlands. It doesn't feel like the colors are fading because we're used to them. It's like they've got nowhere left to return. Tomorrow's Thursday. What if it comes out in gray tones too? I wait for sleep, but instead comes the feeling that all of Willow Creek is on a powered-off screen, and someone's slowly turning the brightness knob to 0. Sunday faded so quietly, it felt like the day fell asleep without saying goodbye. By sunset, the sky was a flat slab of ash, and even the few streetlights that used to glow warm were like icy marbles. At 9, Mom said her head was splitting from the sudden darkness, and went to bed. Dad sat in front of the TV. The screen showed a new show, but the colors had dissolved into gray haze, and the sound was like a whisper into a pillow. I sat in my room for half an hour watching the alarm clock jump from 9:59 to 10 km. The world seemed to move, but inside it felt stopped. Outside, a soft rain fell, one of thousands. Only the drops thudded against the glass so dully it was like they were hitting rubber. At 10:17 something flared brighter than a shadow, and everything went out. The house exhaled, the fridge stopped, the TV clicked, the bulbs died all at once. "Dad," I called. Silence. No footsteps, no everything okay. I went downstairs. The chair was empty, the TV black, the cushion dented like someone had just been sitting there. In the kitchen, Mom's mug sat on the table, its steam frozen in the air like a smoky ghost. A draft yanked the curtain back, and I saw the street. The lamps were a row of dead glass globes, not a single spark. I flinched. At the intersection stood the blue bus. Doors open, but the cabin was inky, like no light ever had and ever would exist in there. The smell of electricity and wet grass mixed. I grabbed a flashlight and went outside. My footsteps on the porch were muffled. Sounds fell into cotton. Even the weak cone of the flashlight didn't reflect off the wet asphalt. The street was empty. Only water gurgled in the gutters, black and colorless. I walked to the bus. The wheels sat in puddles. The license plate was smeared with mud. Inside, empty seats, a few gray school backpacks tossed around. The cabin smelled of damp dust. On the long mirror by the driver, someone had written a date in white marker. June 15th, tomorrow. But the calendar says late July. I wipe at the numbers. My fingers pass through the glass. My heart drops. I stagger back and hear footsteps. On the sidewalk stands Mr. Burton in a coat. His face is gray, like it's got no light. "Mister, the power's out." My voice comes out a whisper. He doesn't answer, just stares toward Jen's house. I follow his gaze. A candle flickers at her door. A dim white circle. Jen is standing in the shadows. I run to her, my feet slapping water without splashes. "Yours off too?" I ask. She looks up. Not a scary face, just so pale it's nearly transparent. Jen moves her lips. No sound. I read them. Watch the road. Behind her house runs the old road to Highway 31. No streetlights there. Just striped lines. Now gray-white. On the shoulder are signs with black and white photos of kids. 6 pictures, Jen and Mikey in the center, and on the left, me. Under the photo, June 15th. In tiny print, bus number 7, we remember. I reach for my picture, my fingers pass through the plastic like through cold smoke. A hum builds in my ears. From far off comes the screech of tires, but the asphalt is empty. My flashlight dies, like the battery's been drained. In the dark, only Jen's candle burns. "You're not supposed to be here," a voice whispers behind me. It's Mikey. His shadow is barely solid, almost smoke. We're already inside the box, just one lid left. The time capsule. I breathe. He nods. We hid the memories so it wouldn't hurt, but we didn't screw the bolts all the way. Footsteps behind. Mr. Burton lays his shovel down. The metal doesn't ring. The sound slips into the black. Candles flare along the road, one at each photo. Children's laughter, then the squeal of brakes. I turn. Along the empty lane rush headlights. The windshield mirrors a brief scream. A flash. Noise rips and sinks. Everything goes quiet. I'm standing alone, the candles snuffing out one by one. The asphalt is neither wet nor dry, just gray. I lift my hand to my face. The glow of the last candle leaks through my palm. My fingers are less dense than air. The flashlight drops. The thud makes no sound. Somewhere in my chest, a faint tick-tock, an alarm clock frozen at 11:11. I remember how the flowers dulled, how the sound left. The world just doesn't refract off me anymore. I look up. The road melts into a white veil. Far off, the bus doors open. I already know. It's not for passengers. It's to seal the last lid of the box, so no one rattles what was left on June 15th for years. I take a step, and my foot leaves no print. Another, light as a page turning. Inside the bus, a thin white light burns, colorless, heatless. It probably doesn't care about fares, baseballs, or school schedules. I turn to the candles, almost burned down, and whisper, barely audible, "Goodbye." And I walk toward the light. I open my eyes. The window is a gray rectangle. Beyond it, light without shades, like winter snow. The alarm clock on the nightstand is frozen at 11:11, the hands trembling but not moving. Downstairs, the kitchen is empty. Mom's mug is cold on the table, the steam gone, along with the smell of coffee. A draft tugs the curtain, and I step outside. The whole street is in ashen tones. At the intersection, people stand in a half circle, each holding a white chrysanthemum. In the center, a granite monument. The plaque reads, "Bus number 7, died June 15th, 2020. We remember." Behind me, a woman whispers, "It's been 5 years since they were gone." Beneath the plaque are 6 photos. Mikey, Jen, Kevin. Mine isn't there, just an empty frame. I reach out, my fingers pass through the metal. From far off comes the screech of brakes. Around the corner rolls that same blue bus. The doors open. Inside is a flat white light. No one but me turns to look. I walk up. The driver's a silhouette under a cap, his face like a blank mask. On every seat lies a backpack. Mine is the last one, with a faded baseball patch. Thin letters appear on the glass. The route ends when all 6 take their seats. I sit down. There are no headlights, but the cabin begins to glow softly. Outside, people lay flowers. Someone snaps a photo of the memorial. The film will probably show another empty spot where I'm standing. The bus pulls away. The chrysanthemums along the curb flare with a white spark, the first color I've seen in a long time. The world outside dissolves into gray haze. Sound shrinks to a whisper of wind, and I close my eyes. And open them in a blindingly bright room. The ceiling gleams white, the curtain at the window rustles a juicy blue. The wall is painted a peach color, deafeningly warm. A girl leans over me, hazel eyes, dark hair spilling onto her shoulders. She's holding my hand and crying with joy. "Lucas. Oh God, he woke up after 5 years." Her words crank the colors up even more. The sun outside gilds the glass. The doctor's coat dazzles snow white. I try to speak, but all that comes out is a wet breath. My sister's palm, real, warm, solid, still squeezes mine. Light floods the room, and in it there isn't a single shadow of the bus. If you made it all the way to the end, then you're exactly the kind of person I'm looking for. Hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. I hope I can keep bringing you more stories, to make you smile, or maybe, to scare you.